or force the Ritual of Soot to come out. Where
Sabian with no fires.
Interesting. What is that card on the far right side of his hand?
Oh, I'm lost. Doesn't want to play fires. He's worried about hate.
Interesting.
But Greg was tapped out.
Yes. I don't have any way to sugarcoat that one. I don't. Maybe that's not a fires. Maybe it's a Cavalier, a red Cavalier. I think that's a fires in his hand.
Yeah, I think that's fires as well. Sabian's meta plays right over my head. We'll see what's up. Greg combats with make another 1/1, play a 5/5. Oh, he does have fires.
So yeah, Greg did a good job the first time around of committing enough creatures to the battlefield that Sabian needed to ritual, but not so many creatures that he wouldn't have something to do post-ritual.
Yeah, and 4 damage a turn is just enough, especially after Sabian plays tap land on turn 4 and can't ritual. That's really what sealed the deal. I think Sabian could have spent another turn and taken 4 more if that wasn't the case.
Right.
But the events turned out just well enough for Greg for his ritual this to work.
And then Greg had the end of turn stomp you with the intention, I think, of untapping and casting the Bonecrusher Giant. But then when you draw the Lovestruck Beast, it's just that works out nicer.
How many lands does Sabian have in play?
I think 4. I think he can't cast that Nicol Bolas.
Do we want to stop this game?
Well, production's in the room. Okay, cool.
Sick.
Yeah.
Couldn't see it. He has 5. He's not cheating.
So Greg's going to get an attack in. It's going to kill the Nicol Bolas.
Why didn't Nicol Bolas kill the Lovestruck Beast?
He's drawing cards. I think he has a plan for his path to victory. It might be Liliana. It might be another Wrath of God.
It probably didn't include Get My Fires Back to Nature, but I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, seems reasonable. But yeah, the path of get a 2-for-1 on your giant, on your Lovestruck Beast was probably not.
Sabian's hand is Cavalier. Oh, there's another fires.
And a Sarkhan.
Oh.
So Sarkhan's really good against all the 1/1s, but that's not exactly what Greg has going on at the moment.
Yeah. He does have 1, so that means Lovestruck Beast can only attack once, right?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that.
Sarkhan deals the damage to the creature when it attacks, right?
Attacking creatures,
yes. So this Lovestruck Beast only gets to attack 1 more time.
So Lovestruck Beast does not say it can only attack with a 1/1. It says it can only attack if you control a 1/1.
So Greg just doesn't attack with the 1/1 and he's fine.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Although it does depend on Greg having understanding of what this Japanese card does.
That makes sense. He has a problem with foreign cards. This man called a judge at a 1K 6 times in 2 rounds on his own foreign card.
Oh, that story's about Greg?
Yeah.
I've heard this story from Steven, but I didn't know that it was about Greg. Oh, that's fabulous.
So, we'll see how this goes. Oh, we've got an English version, all right. Oh, yeah, and don't forget, Steven bought him an English version just to get him to stop judge calling.
That's gorgeous.
It was sweet.
So this 4/4 dragon looks like it's going to trade with a Bonecrusher. Oh,
Beast.
no, it's going to chump block. Oh, it is going to trade with a Lovestruck Beast. Because Sarkhan's trigger does 1 damage.
Yeah.
All right.
So that Sarkhan wasn't terrible, but now it's super medium, I think.
I mean, now it's going to attack for 4 a couple times, and if Sabian gets another Planeswalker, it's going to become a real clock.
Another Lovestruck Beast. Sweet. So now Sabian gets to untap. The second fires is really backbreaking for Greg. He has 1 card in hand, too.
Greg does?
Yeah.
He does have something over there in exile.
Yeah, it's a 7. It's a 7.
7 mana, 7/7.
Yeah.
Got it.
And he has 5 lands, so I don't see that being okay. So Sabian rips a land off the top.
It's a dismal backwater, so
he
it gains a
goes to
life.
8. All right, we're gonna cast Dig Through Time.
It's drawn from dreams. I know that it's Dig Through Time, but
I guess I'll call it Dawn from Dreams, but it's Dig Through Time.
But Drawn from Dreams is seeing play in Sneak and Show sideboards and Legacy,
because it's Dig Through Time.
Right, but one of those cards is actually seeing play in a format.
Not our fault. Dig Through Time is banned. But actually, is it?
Yeah, I saw it in an Andrea Mengucci video, and he rips his videos from people that win events or 5-0s, so not 0%, but I wouldn't say it's prolific yet.
Okay, that's neat.
Yeah.
I guess when you go cast my Dig Through Time on your turn 4 and look at your opponent, and they're like, I guess that resolves the game's over?
Well, it's after you sneak attack in Omnipotence. You don't just want to brainstorm looking for your win condition. You want to... Yeah, exactly. Well, drawn from Dreams.
Sorry. Fish Through Time?
I don't get it.
There's fish in the art.
Oh, sure.
Get flinged.
Oh, no. We did the thing while we weren't looking. Okay, so the Bonecrusher Giant had another attack, putting Sabian from 8 down to 4.
And then we granted for fling and flinged our opponent.
Oh, because Fling was still in the sideboard?
Yeah.
Oh, that makes Greg a better player than me.
All right. Well, that was a pretty good match. It looked very one-sided after game 1.
Yeah. After seeing game 1, I didn't feel like Greg was going to win games where he didn't interact with Aether Gust or what have you multiple times.
Yeah.
But we saw the clock version of Temur Adventures here. So that was game 1, or round 1. We still have some folk playing outside, so we're not going to be able to go immediately into round 2. So we do have some time machine rounds for you, but first I want to talk about one of our sponsors. This is Tabletop. If you didn't get a Tabletop sweatshirt for Christmas, complain to everyone who loves you, because these are amazing. If you're a part of our hobby, and if you're not, thank you so much for watching. I don't know why you're here, but we love you. Please stay. These guys, they make t-shirts, they make sweatshirts that have references to some of our favorite games. So if you love Root, if you love Gloomhaven, if you love Axis and Allies, they've got something for you. So please go ahead and take a look at tabletop.com, shop around a little bit, find something your style. For me, it's always the hooded sweatshirts. I hate the one pockets. If they do have them without the one pockets, but hooded sweatshirts are what I like to wear. Very comfortable, and we really appreciate the work that they did to help us bring this to you. Not only did they do some of our graphic design, not so much for the stream, but for Paradise Games, who's one of the sponsors in the location where we play here. They also designed our Scoot Mob logo, so we're a big fan. We support them every chance that we can because they've done so much for us. Now, we're going to hop into the time machine and show you probably some old rounds of Pioneer or maybe Modern. But we'll be back in just a few minutes, so don't go anywhere.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Monday Night Modern here at Paradise Games. I am Alex. Going to be bringing you 3 rounds of Modern tonight. Looking forward to it here. I'd like to take a quick moment here to give a shout out to Die Hard Dice. You'll notice some of those excellent sets of dice on the corners of each of those players' mats, and you may have heard already, but we have giveaways going away this week, and tonight included. Every stream this week, we're going to be giving away some products, and tonight you're going to be able to win some of these fancy Die Hard dice. So, really looking forward to being able to give those away. So make sure you just stay tuned, and there's going to be more details for that coming later. So, with that, let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on here. We've got Devoted Druid versus Grixis Shadow. So this is pretty traditionally a pretty lopsided matchup in Grixis Shadow's favor. They have a pretty fast clock, and they just have a lot of removal spells and a lot of interaction. So, speaking of, we'll just see Fatal Push go ahead and take down the Noble Hierarch here on the first turn of the game. Pretty standard play. Abraham apparently subscribes to the Bolt the Bird methodology of play. It's a little bit more arguable when you're playing against Devoted Druid because, you know, a lot of their cards are not really threats. They're just, you know, mana dorks, and Noble Hierarch really lines up with that, and you absolutely have to be able to kill the Devoted Druid on site every time. So if you only have a few removal spells, sometimes you aren't able to actually do that. But regardless, we've got a couple extra removal spells here lined up to be able to take down the Druid. Now, Abraham leading with a Serum Visions here before cracking his fetch. It's a little puzzling to me. I think that he was supposed to crack that fetch before Serum Visionsing, because he's going to have to Lightning Bolt Devoted Druid here, so looks like he's just going to go ahead and send it back to Bryant for now. He's got the Lightning Bolt up, so here comes Eladomri's Call from Bryant. I assume that we're just going to get a nice resolves from Abraham. He's probably going to find Vizier of Remedies. Indeed, he is. Obviously, this is part of the combo. We got to generate our infinite mana first to be able to kill our opponent. So, looking to generate infinite mana here with our Vizier of Remedies, although we don't actually have a way to kill our opponent yet with it. So, it looks like here comes the Vizier. Abraham fetches shows Bryant that the top 2 cards were both street wraiths that he probably didn't want to have to fetch away, but of course he is going to have to fetch shock and lightning bolt a devoted druid in response. Obviously, no reason we can no chance to allow that to resolve. Looks like Bryant probably just gonna float a mana here in response. Here comes the Noble Hierarch from Bryant, and then Devoted Druid's gonna hit the bin, unfortunately. So here we see that kind of removal heavy deck really showing off what it's here to remove. Unfortunately, Abraham's hand doesn't look particularly powerful. Lots of lands. I think we might be out of removal spells. He has Stubborn Denial now, but that's not particularly impactful. Postmortem Lunge and Forest in hand for Bryant. Speaking of not very impactful, Bryant's just basically only going to have a 3-power attacker here. Now he can go ahead and cycle the Horizon Canopy away here with for 1 extra draw, and now he's only got the card in his hand. I wonder what we're going to see here from Abraham. Perhaps it's just going to be a Snapcaster Mage to block. Seems pretty reasonable to me. Take a combo piece off the board, protect your life total a little bit. You are a little worried about dying, and there's no reason for your life total to be this low if you don't have anything to do. But it looks like it's just going to be Dismember. So Abraham's going to take 2 damage to Dismember. Lexi doesn't want to take too much more. I tend to agree with him here. Makes sense to me. So I think the Vizier's going to go ahead and fade away itself. I'm going to enter the graveyard. Here comes another Devoted Druid. Okay. All right. Kind of doing it here. Street Wraith off the top for Abraham. I don't think he's super happy about that draw at this point. I think, you know, he's definitely hurting on life total to a certain extent, so he'll cycle the Street Wraith, put himself down to 6. Another land off the top. That's no good. Abraham's flooding out really hard now, and with only a Stubborn Denial as his spell in hand, means that he doesn't really have any action. Of course, it's not like Bryant has too much going on either. Ooh, Once Upon a Time. That's a little action here. Giver of Runes and lands, the hits there. So I assume we're just going to see the Giver of Runes. Of course, Giver of Runes, however, is quite good on this board. Bryant is in a pretty reasonable spot currently to just go ahead and try and attack Abraham to death here. And, you know, Abraham's going to have a few looks to be able to get himself out of it, but with Giver of Runes, you know, Abraham's hand only has 1 card in it, and, you know, Bryant's got to be pretty certain it's just a land, given that, a land or a Stubborn Denial, given that he hasn't cast it. It's obviously not a threat. He would have played that. It's obviously not a removal spell. He would have played that, so it's probably just nothing particularly good. Another Stubborn Denial off the top from Abraham, I think. Well, maybe not. He is fetching, so it's likely a spell of some kind. Down to 3 now is Abraham. That is a 1 smack of the Noble Hierarch plus a smack of the Giver of Runes right now. So Noble Hierarch beats trying to take it down right now. Let's see what he finds. Looks like it's just going to be Thought Scour. So Thought Scour, Abraham. So it looks like he just wanted to do a little bit of thinning first. Kolaghan's Command, Gurmag Angler, go away, and Temur Battle Rage is the draw. Oh no. You can see Bryant ecstatic when his opponent just milled the 2 good cards. All right. So now we'll see what Bryant elects to do. I believe this is attack for 1 with Devoted Druid. Interesting choice to attack with the Devoted Druid. It seems totally fine for me. It's basically the same thing. Ooh. Death's Shadow. That's a good one. Now, it's definitely threatening lethal now with the Temur Battle Rage in hand from Abraham, and I don't know that Bryant really has many outs. He's only got one card in hand. The Stubborn Denial's now online. The Temur Battle Rage is going to kill him next turn, so Bryant needs to find something really good right now. And now he's going to have to tank. So notably, if he'd attacked with the Giver of Runes last turn, he would have a lethal attack this turn. But because he chose to attack with a different creature, I think Bryant was supposed to attack with the Giver of Runes last turn so that he could force through 1 point if Abraham drew a creature this turn and not be in danger. Because there aren't very many cards that Abraham can have in his hand, and Temur Battle Rage is definitely one of them. So here's Vizier of Remedies. Bryant has infinite mana, but nothing to do with it, so it's not particularly helpful. I suppose he's likely just supposed to go ahead and pass the turn, but passing the turn means that Abraham's going to be able to attack for a nice Temur Battle Rage lethal here. Whew, that was a really close game, actually. It's going to be 22 points of trample damage, and well, all 5. I suppose that Bryant could have maybe chumped away his entire board in order to stay alive there, but obviously that's not a winning line. There's no way to come back from that after that. So Bryant goes ahead, packs it up. Unfortunate sequence of events there at the end. I think that Bryant was really, really close to winning that game, and definitely we saw that he needed Abraham to like flood out and miss pretty hard to even get the game to be as close as it was. But you know, that happens. That's why we play the games. So just, you know, looking at that, we can see how favored Abraham really is in this matchup. I mean, we saw Abraham brick pretty hard in the entire game, and well, I guess Bryant didn't do too much anyway, but you know, he's doing all right. All right, let's take a look at these sideboards here for our players. Over on Grixis Shadow with Abraham's side, we got 1 Ceremonious Rejection, 1 Disdainful Stroke, 1 Ashiok Dream Render, 1 Drown on the Lock, 2 Extirpate, 2 Force of Negation, 1 Dispel, 1 Stubborn Denial, 1 Fatal Push, 1 Snapcaster Mage, 2 Collective Brutality, and 1 Damnation. So I think the Ashiok Dream Render is definitely doable. The Druid deck searches its library pretty good amount. Drown on the Lock seems excellent. Extirpate is probably quite good. It's going to be able to Surgical Extraction the combo more than likely. Force of Negation seems great. Dispel seems pretty good to me. The extra Stubborn Denial, that one's okay, but probably can stay in the board. The extra Fatal Push seems great. The 2 Collective Brutalities also kill creatures, and I think Abraham's just going to bring in all of his ways to interact with the combo here from Bryant's side. And speaking of Bryant's side, let's take a look at what he's got. He's got a 1 Giver of Runes, 3 Teferi Time Raveler, 1 Oko Thief of Crowns, 1 Deputy of Detention, 2 Damping Sphere, 2 Weather the Storm, 2 Path to Exile, 2 Veil of Summer, and a Collector Oof. So for Bryant, I think I enjoy the extra Giver of Runes for sure. Teferi Time Raveler seems pretty good. That seems like a way that he could set up a pretty clean postmortem lunge kill with the Teferi. I definitely like that one. The Oko Thief of Crowns is excellent against Grixis Death Shadow. And it looks like we actually get to see Bryant's look there. Bryant's bring his sideboard to the screen or to the camera. I think I saw Path Exiles, some Veil of Summers, and you know, obviously the Veil of Summers are excellent in this matchup, protect you from Thoughtseize, removal spells. The Path Exiles deal with Abraham's threats pretty well, so I think I'm pretty into that. Get a little bit more interaction in there. And yeah, that seems about it to me. So I think that players should have actually both have considerable upgrades in the post-board games here. Abraham gets to probably remove his Stubborn Denials for more non-conditional protection against the combo of Bryant's deck, and I think that Bryant's going to get a bunch of protection for his combo. So, and also I could easily see Bryant just resolving an Oko and winning the game with it. So, seems pretty strong to me. And I'm a little surprised there's only 1 Oko. If you're making the blue splash in this Druid deck, I think that you just want more copies of Teferi and Oko. Like those seem like the cards that are worth splashing the blue for out of the sideboard. But also I think that just not splashing the blue is totally reasonable as well. So regardless, looks like our players have sideboarded and we're ready to start game number 2. Brian's going to lead us off with Once Upon a Time. Let's see what he finds. I see a couple finales there, but that's no good, obviously. Giver of Runes, one of the better cards for Bryant in this matchup. He'll start off with a Temple Garden and then put that same Giver into play, down to 18 for himself. I'm sure that Bryant, or that Abraham, will probably feel forced to react to this Giver of Runes here relatively early on. The Giver...
All right, guys, we're back. It sounds like you didn't get to see the beginning of round 1, which is unfortunate, and the person responsible for it has been sacked. But we're back here for game 2, so it's going to be Greg versus Chris. So we get to see another round of Temur Adventures, this time against Orzhov Aristocrats.
So we saw Orzhov Aristocrats 2 weeks ago, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. He's been playing a bunch of decks pretty similar to this. It looks like we actually have him seated on the wrong side of the table. Greg, why did you switch sides of the table? You monster.
Monster.
But anyway, we've seen Chris's deck a time or two before, but it changes by probably 10 cards.
I believe
every
you.
week. So he's no longer on Midnight Reaper.
Okay.
Which, for my money, is the big way you generate an advantage off of your Cauldron Familiar Witch's Oven.
Yep.
He had a Knight of the Ebon Legion as his 1-drop.
Okay.
Previously, he was playing Footlight Fiend, but he figured it was more important that he has a 1-drop than that he gets value off of sacking the 1-drop. And so if you're going to have a 1-drop, it might as well be one that can win the game.
That makes some sense.
The white is there overwhelmingly for Cruel Celebrant, but I believe he has Ethereal Absolutions in his main board.
Okay.
He's playing Ayara, First of Lochthwain, and Blood-Soaked Aerialist, Bloodseeker Aerialist. The Ajani's Pride May That Flies. And that thing now is how he really gets his value off of his Cauldron Familiar.
All right. So, sounds like an interesting deck. How do we think it fares against Stomp?
I think for the most part, the games in which the Orzhov deck gets to run away with the 2-mana Priest of the Forgotten Gods.
Yeah.
The games where you get First Gods. I think it's First Gods. But that card. I think the games where he gets to run away with a priest are the games that he's going to win.
Okay.
Stomp is pretty good at preventing that from happening. But, like, Petty Theft is not that good. It'll fog it, but it won't disrupt it in the same way.
Fogging the priest is pretty easy. Like, if they, you get to fog it until their turn 3, right? So at least they have to, replay it, too. And it's more like a time walk at that point if they're trying to run away with the priest.
Yeah, but also Chris's deck is really good at just dropping 1-mana creatures and then blocking with them. So he can get the priest going on turn 5 or 6 or 7, and it's not too late. I mean, again, Greg showed us that he can on turn 7 fling for he did it for 12, but he could have done it for 24 with an expansion.
Yeah.
So it's possible that Chris does really need to get it going in a timely fashion because Greg can go over the top.
But kind of unlikely. How does... I'm mostly worried about Greg's creatures. They seem really big compared to what Chris is playing.
Right, and Chris is not planning on trading my 2-drop with your 2-drop.
Yeah.
Chris is planning on chump blocking with my 1/1 and then making another 1/1 and chump blocking with it. Until you're dead for some reason.
That's fair. So what is this 1-drop?
Oh, this has Lifelink and Death Touch.
Got it.
I don't know what it's called. Priest of the New Moon? Vampire of the New Moon? Vampire of the Dire Straits? I'm just making stuff up.
I see a moon, and it's a vampire.
So if you ultimate your Nocturne Pony card, you can tutor this Vampire of the Dire Moon because it has a moon in its art.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah.
Okay. So what format are we doing this in? Legacy?
Well, I mean, it's a silver bordered card. So Commander. Vintage. It gives your opponent becomes your friend. That seems pretty powerful.
Yeah.
My friends don't cast tendrils on me. Greg he had his start where he goes turn 1 Innkeeper, turn 2 Clover. So everything that Greg does is going to be just a little better than it's supposed to be.
Yeah, just a little. This Stomp looks great. I don't know if he has it.
Yeah, Stomp wipes the board right now. But here
there's a Stomp.
The Vampire of the Dire Moon got in for 1, and it already made the Aerialist a little bigger. Oof.
Oh, double Stomp the Aerialist.
Oh, I thought Aerialist was a 1/1, so it was a 2/2 with the counter.
No, it's a 2/3.
Oh, it has numbers on it already?
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair. That card might be really good.
Yeah, I got crushed by it in limited. My crushed by it in limited, I mean my opponent played it and then gained life.
Yeah.
And then I took it and killed my opponent with it. It was sweet.
Oh, fabulous. Yeah, this card starts reasonably costed and gets huge for no reason.
Yeah. It's nuts.
All right.
Yeah. M20, if you play that in pass, your opponent probably picks their cards up. That's about what I've noticed.
Man, M20 was like a sneaky good set. It has like 5 cards in it that are Band of Pioneer.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's Veil Summer.
Field of the Dead.
Okay.
Maybe that's all. I think there's another one, but all right. That's 2 is not particularly close to 5. Oh, Path of a Trace, Leyline of Abundance.
Oh.
You're at 3. All right, getting closer.
Yeah. Well, even 3 is just enough, probably. Like, Pioneer has, 37 sets? And 1 set holds almost half the bands?
Well,
the other set holds the other half.
Right.
Throne holds half, M20 holds half, and together they make the band list.
What? No. Concentor Cure holds half. Concentor Cure has 5 band cards.
Oh, yeah, you got me there.
Yeah. All right, so our first Aerialist died. We spent an Order of Midnight getting back our Aerialist. We still have this 1/1 with Death Touch and Lifelink. At some point...
Yeah, all right, we'll trade it for a Stompy Boy. That's a cool Celebrant in play?
No, that's the Aerialist is back.
Oh, the Aerialist is back.
So it's back to being a 3/4 because we gained life trading off our 1/1 with Lifelink.
4/3. Yep, okay. Double Stomp it.
We're stomping some more.
Those sounded like pretty weak stomps, but I don't think 2 damage stomps are that big either.
Yeah, but this 4/3 is the biggest thing on the battlefield, and it drew a card. So how clean is that? 5 mana, kill your 4 toughness creature, make a 4/3 draw card.
Sounds fine.
Sounds problematic.
Yeah, it's like Flame Tongue Kavu, but better.
Yeah, like Flame Tongue Kavu that cantrips. So Chris is down to 3 cards in hand. He's got 4 mana, and he had no relevant play on turn 5.
Oh, Chris has 1. Oh, jeez. This game looks very much Greg-sided. Oh, he has 3 cards in hand, not 1. Okay.
Murder Shredder, I'll take 4.
Yep, that sounds... Yep.
But that does put him down to 17. He has been gaining life, so taking that 4 doesn't mean that he's immediately dead or even super close to dead.
And he has 2 spells in Adventure. 1 can't block, but they're there.
Right, and Greg, right this moment, doesn't have any threats. But we are getting to the point where Greg's going to start drawing spells and casting giant spells. If this escape flips a Beanstalk Giant, there he is.
Well,
2 Beanstalk Giants. So that means Greg's going to spend his next turn generating an obscene amount of mana. And then...
if we sees a second Clover here, that'd be insane.
Yeah.
Unnecessary, but insane. Because next turn he gets to go spend 2 mana, double Explosive Vegetation.
Right.
That's neat.
Right. So that's going to get him from 7 to 11 mana. He'll have 12 for a draw step, which means...
well, he doesn't actually net mana. Yeah, sure. He doesn't net mana next turn. He
Right.
nets it the following.
I'm assuming that he's spending... I'm acting like he's spending next turn making mana, and then spending the following
he's
turn
not
winning
even
the
spending
game.
next turn making mana. He's spending 2 mana next turn to make 6 for the following.
He drew a Clover.
Sick. Well, now he's spending 2 mana to make 6 land drops.
Yeah. He's actually not costing any of his velocity for the turn on put 6 lands into play.
Yeah. He played the Clover, so it's still 2 mana
Sure.
turn.
Okay.
But this was, like 33% better than it would have been.
So Chris is going 50% better. It would have been 67% as good. Chris is going to spend his next turn deploying some dude, and Greg is going to spend his next turn wishing for a expansion and a fling, and then casting a Beanstalk Giant
and flinging it. real good.
Or can he do that this turn?
He can cast Granted this turn.
Okay.
Cannot do anything else.
And he can Granted for 3 things. He can cast one of them this turn and then have an expansion and a fling left in his hand.
Yeah, I don't know what one thing was to cast, but...
For 2 mana. Kendra's Transformation, turn that 2/3 into a 3/3.
Oh, that's draw a card.
Oh, once in future. Which means if for some reason this doesn't work, he's just going to do it again.
Neat. Chris, feeling the burn, the pressure, the Beanstalk Giant. What does Chris have?
How does he get out of this?
Yep.
2 duresses? I don't think that you have the tools, because you have to get 2 cards out of Greg's hand. You have to get the ones in future and the fling out of Greg's hand. Alternatively, you can figure out how to put your life total up to 30.
Okay. Priest, Cruel Celebrant.
That does not get our life total to 30.
And it does not double the rest of our opponent. So, looks like game 1 goes to Greg unless he doesn't see this line. Which he's
halfway through.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Temur Adventures deck is it's impressing me here.
It's neat.
Yep. So I'm going to fling this, hold priority. I'm going to expansion my fling. Oh, right now you could just counter the fling and the expansion would fizzle.
Yep.
So if the white-black deck did that, he'd have it out.
That's pretty good. I like that. So sideboard into Aether Gust and go to town.
Yeah. Sounds right. Well, that was a sweet game 1 by this Temur Adventures deck. We're going to look at our sideboards. Chris has 2 Ethereal Absolution, 2 Revenge of Ravens, 2 Sorceress Spyglass, 3 Duress, 2 Legion's End, 2 Devout Decree, and 2 Mortify.
I've got a judge question.
Hit me.
Sorcerer's Spyglass, does that work against Adventures?
No. Adventures is casting a spell, not activating an ability. It's a static ability on the card that says you may cast it this way instead of that way.
Dope. All right. So, we're bringing in Duress and Duress.
Why are we bringing in Duress? It doesn't hit any of the cards in Greg's deck.
It not? It hit. Okay, so
Duress, it hits Clover.
Duress hits Clover. All he plays.
It doesn't hit Fae of Wishes. It doesn't hit Brazen Borrower.
Geez.
It doesn't hit Fertile Footsteps.
It's like a problem.
Negate would be good here, but not Duress.
Oh man, this whole deck is creatures.
Yeah.
Spells.
Whew. Woof.
I really do like the adventure thing from Throne. I think they nailed that.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm optimistic, but maybe a little fearful about how this whole not having blocks thing is going to affect the power budget for standard sets going forward. I think I'll get into that at the end of this round.
That makes sense.
But before we get into that, let's talk about Greg's sideboard here. We didn't even say what Chris is bringing in. How do we help Chris out here? We bring in Mortifies to kill 5/5s. That doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
Ethereal Absolution to make his Beanstalk Giant 1 lower. I think we hope that our main board is good enough and we can execute our plan faster. Yeah, I think Chris doesn't sideboard here.
Sweet.
And Greg has a wish board.
Yep.
The only thing we saw him bring in before was Aether Gusts and Return to Natures.
And that's not, neither of those are relevant.
So clearly we're not, practiced with these decks or what have you. But we
we have said don't sideboard for both rounds now.
No. Greg, we wanted Greg to bring in his Aether Gusts, and he did.
Okay.
The sideboards do exist.
Sideboards don't matter.
So, oh man, I would not wear that on a t-shirt. Tabletop, if you're listening, do not make that t-shirt. Chris does get to be on the play this game.
Okay. Hope Greg doesn't just do the thing like he's done every game of turn 1 Edgewall, turn 2 Luckyy Clover. He's done that all 3 games?
This is the 5th game that we've seen him play.
Yeah,
because he did lose 4. 1.
Did he do it all 3 games against Sabian?
I don't think so. I think he just had an Innkeeper in one of the games and didn't have a Clover. But I mean, London Mulligan
helps a lot.
Yeah. He doesn't see, oh, I don't have Edgewall Innkeeper plus Luckyy Clover? Well, let's keep digging.
Yeah, let's find another 7.
Chris looks like he likes his 7. Chris can have some pretty aggressive starts, although we did have an aggressive start that game. Greg just managed to kill the aerialist twice.
Yeah, that Chris's start, if Greg didn't have that Clover, that game was completely different for Greg.
Yeah, if it takes 2 stomps to kill an aerialist and you just don't have those.
Yeah. Or he has 2 stomps for the first one and then not 2 stomps for the second one.
So, I didn't see anything in Chris's sideboard that can kill a Clover.
Yep.
There's not a whole lot of disenchant disenchant is in standard.
Yes, it is.
That card's, I guess it's narrow?
Is it? It beats fires. It beats...
I mean, it doesn't beat fires,
Sure.
right? It kills fires after
fires.
they already got their mana back.
It kills fires. It kills Trail of Crumbs. It kills Oven. Kills Clovers.
All right, that could be playable.
Return is green.
Chris is starting this game with, again, his Vampire of the Dire Moon. So we've got the life linker. If we are able to get an aerialist, we've already got our first way to get life going. The other thing that Vampire of the Dire Moon, part of why it's so important, is on your Priest of Forgotten Gods hands, you just need dudes. You don't really care what they are. You're going to get the card back. You just want to play some dudes.
So Chris goes, whatever that land is.
That's a Castle Ardenvale.
Okay. That's a Godless Shrine he played turn 1.
Yes.
He plays a cat.
Yeah, so that's putting Chris back up to 20 and Greg down to 18.
Greg does not play anything turn 1. His turn 2, what does he want?
Well, does he just slam the Clover? Let's see. How good are you, Greg? How good are you, Greg?
I don't think he has it.
I don't see a Clover there.
Brazen Borrower, Beanstalk Giant. Oh, he's just picking
Bouncing
that thing
the
up.
Vampire. Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to spend your next turn just casting it, and you have another Petty Theft available to bounce another thing.
Yeah.
If there's a thing that needs to be bounced.
But I would have rather bounced this Priest of Forgotten Gods after combat.
That's true, but he didn't play Priest of Forgotten Gods last turn. So why would you assume he has it?
I just assume my opponent's going to play a 2 or 3 drop on their turn 3.
But he didn't. That's true. But the card we care about mostly is a 2-drop, and they didn't play it on their turn 2.
That's fair.
Now it's their turn 3.
Yeah, and land 3 drop from Chris isn't exactly something I would put over him.
Yeah, I guess Ayara is the thing that you're worried about in that situation.
And what is 1 point going to do this game?
But it's more than 1 point. Because he also now doesn't have that vampire on the battlefield.
That's true, but that would also be true if we bounce out at the end of his turn.
Oh, sure.
And now he has this priest, and now he has to go untap land priest. Untap land creature, and then activate my priest, and that's pretty good.
This was a incubation that was cast. Yep. That must be true. So yeah, we had an incubation, and then we played the Fertile Footsteps.
Incubation whiffed.
That explains why I couldn't tell what he found or what he was doing.
Yep.
Knight of the Ebony Legion can't attack. So now we've got Chris with a Priest of Forgotten Gods on the battlefield and active. But activating it means
thorning himself.
So it's you right now. That would be true. It's not card disadvantage
when you make your opponent attack a creature.
Right. And I think Chris's assumption is at some point Greg has to play like a Beanstalk Giant or a Brazen Borrower, or else Chris isn't going to die.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I do wish that Chris's clock here, this holding position, was more than 2 damage a turn.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have 7 more turns before Greg just flings 20 at you.
Yep. Pick it up. Why do you make him pick it up there?
I'm not actually certain what phase that is. It was during combat?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. That was a strange decision to make.
Well, Greg has a plan.
I think that plan is to cast a Beanstalk Giant here and have it be big. So I guess what Greg was thinking was if you bounce the priest before damage, then he has to choose whether he's going to deal combat damage or activate his priest.
I feel like activating your priest would be a silly play.
But if Chris has nothing to do, or what he wants to do is cast a 6 mana spell, and he needs the black.
But priest that mana would just go away after combat, right?
Right, but that's something that Greg doesn't want Chris to be able to do is activate his priest post-combat.
Sure, got it. We can't beat this Grave Titan.
Yeah, or Cavalier of Night? I don't even know what there is that has that kind of strength in this format. Like, Ethereal Absolution is as close as we're going to get.
But Greg doesn't care. I guess he cares about that because he has 3 Brazen Borrowers.
He does have 3 3/1s, and 3/1s are dramatically more powerful than 2 0s.
Slightly, yeah.
No, dramatically. So the Brazen Borrower is starting the beats. This creature cannot block. But here is a 7/8/8.
8/8.
7/7. 7/7.
7/7.
That card can block.
And this Priest of Forgotten Gods no longer kills this giant. We have got Brazen Borrower fodder.
Yes, and we've got plenty of Brazen Borrowers to keep on coming. Having said that, that exchange still feels all right. You do make mana, kill the Brazen Borrower, draw a card, and lose your 1-drops.
Yeah, I would currently like to be in Greg's spot. But all Chris needs is a Disfigure or something like that, and this game looks like it's slightly in his favor.
Greg has 1 card in its hand, and
Embercleave.
that's an Embercleave? Okay, I was going to guess Sundering Stroke.
I think it's Embercleave.
Interesting.
There's a one of in Temur Adventures, I believe.
I know there's one in the sideboard.
I think it's one made.
Maybe you brought it in because you expect cats or jump blockers or something.
That's true. Well, it looks great.
It doesn't. We don't have 2 red sources.
Yeah, we do. We have Temple Stomping Ground.
Oh, that's a Stomping Ground?
Yeah.
Okay. So that means, presuming that you're correct, this giant is going to be...
Huge.
Right, but how huge? An 8/8 double striker? So it's going to be showing 16?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he's doing the thing.
Yeah, you sacrifice a thing. Chris is going to lose 2 life going to 17 and draw 2 cards.
There is Midnight Reapers. He didn't have Midnight Reapers.
Yeah, I remember him pronouncing that he was removing Midnight Reaper from his deck.
Okay.
But that was last week or 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
So apparently it's back. So this puts Chris down to 17, and that's interesting.
It actually keeps him at 17, right? Because Priest gains you 2 life?
It doesn't.
It makes them lose 2 life.
Yeah.
Okay. 17 is... so Greg draws a land?
Yeah. Yup.
Okay.
That's what I'm seeing.
Okay. Sweet. But this was... Yeah, okay. So Greg draws land, and Chris doesn't block.
Chris does have mana. He could cast another spell here, like a Swift End.
Yeah, that stops Greg from bashing for lethal.
Yeah, that's quite good. And now Greg's gonna spend his next turn playing 2
3/1s.
Right, because he can't play the Beanstalk Giant because the priest actually has that answered. Well,
Ooh.
Oh, but then he doesn't have the 7th land.
Don't those have flash?
Yeah, but he wanted to draw a card.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay, I would have rather just instead of playing
Fertile Footsteps.
Fertile Footsteps. I would have rather just like pass with Edgewall Innkeeper and then flash into Brazen Borrowers and draw 2 cards and then.
I see 3 blue sources. He just got the 4th one.
Oh, I see. Okay, missed that. Well, Greg's clearly knowing what's going on in this game.
Yeah, he has a slightly firmer grasp on his board state than we do.
That Stomping Ground does not look real.
Yeah. That looks like a Verdant Catacombs to me, or a green black land.
Yeah.
Could be an Overgrown Tomb. I don't know, but
But Stomping Grounds.
I hear ya.
Those Jund players and their silly foils.
So there's some world in which Chris is able to keep up with this onslaught of creatures. You need to kill something the old-fashioned way here. I don't care what it is.
Is that it?
No. Good talk. Even spending that 1 mana means not being able to cast your Midnight Reaper this turn. Although it looks like he's also stuck on 3 black sources and doesn't have a 4th one.
Is that actually a problem?
If you want to cast Aerialist and Murderous Rider in the same turn, you do need your 4th black source. Oh, here's your black source. He's sacking his Midnight Reaper and his 1-drop. And he's sacking the Midnight Reaper because he's worried about his life total.
That makes sense. It looks endangered. He's throwing away the Brazen Borrower.
Sure, and that will allow you to draw some cards.
And in his graveyard, there's giant, or not graveyard. In Adventure, they're off on a walk. We've got giant, Brazen Borrower.
Yep.
Okay, we see another Swift End.
So this Swift End puts Chris back into the position where Greg cannot spend his turn going Beanstalk Giant pass.
Well, does he have the mana to do... Oh, he's not close. He only has 8 lands?
Yeah, so he can't even go land Beanstalk Giant, Brazen Borrower. So at this point, a land is probably what Chris is hoping Greg draws.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Chris is very close to polishing this game off.
Embercleave, what is that spell he just drew?
Oh, Lovestruck Beast.
Well, that stops this Priest of Forgotten Gods from doing anything.
It means Chris needs to draw another relevant spell to win this game.
Plays it. Oh, previously, Brazen Borrower 2? Ooh.
All right.
And Greg's still with no stomps this game.
I'm starting to wish we had that Ethereal Absolution.
Yeah. Really. All right. He plays an 8/8 and a 1/1 and passes.
Yeah, so this is a situation where I wish we'd still had our the Midnight Reaper.
Yeah.
Even though like our life total was declining, Greg is gonna.
Cards.
Yeah, exactly. We need to prevent Greg from attacking us ever, and drawing 2 more cards this turn would go a long way towards preventing Greg from attacking us ever. Although this is a Cruel Celebrant. We got to do some math. It's possible we can just string together 4 points of burn here. That's an Ayara.
Okay.
So then when we play our Cruel Celebrant, our opponent goes to 5. And when we activate our
Priest, he goes to 1.
1, and then we get to attack with our flyer.
Okay. So it looks like Chris has lethal if he just puts his puzzle together.
I actually think Chris has like 11 damage here, right?
makes sense.
Because the flyer's
And
going to get in for 5.
And also we get to play more creatures with this mana we have. And our Ayara triggers more.
Yeah, unless we, sack Ayara to Priest of Forgotten Gods.
All right, so Ayara entered, Greg went to 5.
Cruel Celebrant enters. Ayara triggers. I guess I'm getting ahead of us.
Okay, Cruel Celebrant enters, Greg goes to 4, and this... Oh, he doesn't have a... Oh, that
so the
flyer's
Aerialist
lethal.
just wins the game now.
Oh, Greg being nice and reminding him of his trigger.
But not conceding because maybe he won't attack. All right, now we turn the creature sideways.
All right, well, Chris, after a long-fought game 2, gets there.
And see, that's how I felt like I was winning most of my games when I played Chris's copy of the Aristocrats deck, was go off with Priest of Forgotten Gods. You kill so many things. You drain your opponent's life total, you get your cards back, but your whole deck is full of these garbage little dudes. And Priest of Forgotten Gods is how you turn them into Velocity and cards.
That sounds right.
You also can win games just by resolving an Ethereal Absolution, and your opponent's like, lol, how do I beat that? But I'm not sure that's how he's going to win this game.
I've been on that side of the table way too many times.
With your, I don't even remember what deck you were on.
It didn't matter. It was like in sealed and draft and in standard. It was irrelevant. No, every time I entered the battlefield, I picked my cards up.
Yeah.
Specifically, you're talking about, I was playing green-black food, and you were on...
Chris's deck, right? Probably.
And you... you were on also food.
I think it was Chris's deck.
Okay.
I think it was just a little foodier than it was.
Yeah, okay, that sounds right. There was food stuff in it.
Well, this deck has cat and oven in it.
Oh, man, it might have just been this deck. I don't remember. But you played Theory of Absolution, and my cats forever died, and the game was over.
Okay, so after game 1, we said, Chris probably shouldn't sideboard. None of those cards are good. Mm-hmm. But after game 2, we saw Chris trying to keep tempo with a bunch of Brazen Borrowers and 1/1 humans. How do we feel about Ethereal Absolution?
So the real question for Absolution is, what does it do to his 5/5s, and what does it do to his 4/3s? Do our medium creatures now outsize, do our creatures that die to stomp now no longer die to stomp, and that's a good thing?
So our 2/3, actually, we have very few 2 toughness creatures. I guess Priest of Forgotten Gods.
It's a big one.
But you usually already have to have your Priest of Forgotten Gods in order to cast your Ethereal Absolution.
That makes sense. But like going to combat, right? Like we're smacking with this.
Our 2/3s become 3/4s. So when his 4/3 becomes a 3/2, that's great for us. But when his 5/5 becomes a 4/4, we don't care that much.
Yeah, but his 5/5 can never attack this game.
Unless he plays a 2/2, which there probably isn't one in his deck.
There's not a 2/2 in his deck.
All right. I'm starting to think that might be where you want to be.
It really might be.
It doesn't deal with the giant.
It really doesn't.
But how you deal with the giant is you don't ever let him have a giant, which means you can't ever let him get to 13 lands, and you don't really do that much to interfere with his mana generation. But he's shown that he doesn't get to 13 mana every game. It's just some subset of hands gets him to 13 mana.
Yeah, he even had lots of fertile footsteps. He walked lots, and it didn't matter.
There was much growth.
Yeah, but not enough growth.
Right. 8 is a pretty big number.
Yeah.
So here we see this Knight of the Ebon Legion. Haven't gotten to see it shine yet, but it is immediately stepped on.
Yeah, that was a card that Greg really needed to see game 2. Seeing no Bonecrushers was a really big deal.
Right. But he spent one and not on a priest.
When?
No, right, just now.
Right
just a second ago.
Sure. But that's because Knight of the Ebon Legion is a heinous magic card, in my dearest opinion.
Yeah.
And Chris goes when Order of Midnight picks it back up. I don't know how I feel about that play exactly. Like, Knight of the Ebon Legion is certainly neat, and the card is strong, but it just decides to stomp.
And it looks to me like there's a Cruel Celebrant in your hand, so you have other ways to spend your mana that commits to the board.
Yeah. But we picked it up.
So now we can play it and the Cruel Celebrant, or the Priest of Forgotten Gods. If we just played Priest of Forgotten Gods last turn...
We would have felt way better this turn.
Maybe not. We wouldn't have multiple 1-drops.
Well, we don't exactly know what's in Chris's hand.
That's true. And we did know that he had the Order of Midnight. So in that world, he can just draw a 1-drop and play Order of Midnight and the 1-drop.
Yeah. All right. Well, we play 1/1 with... Or can we get a 1/1? Play... Ooh, all right. Tap Steam Vents. Make you pick up your Priest. Greg really doesn't want that card on the battlefield. But here's this Knight of the Ebon Legion again. So Chris here playing a Knight of the Ebon Legion again.
All right. Are we going to keep trying to jam this Priest of Forgotten Gods?
Yes, we are.
This isn't exactly a combo,
No,
because
I'd
you
rather
don't
have the Cruel
really
Celebrant
want to
here.
sack your Knight to your Priests. It is nice that the Knight of the Ebon
Brazen
Legion
Borrower.
is a 1/2, because that holds that 1/1 back. But the Bonecrusher Giant's going to get to keep howling in there.
Smacking, yeah. Ooh, so this land here is pretty good because this lets us play this Lovestruck Beast.
But even on this board, do you want to play Lovestruck Beast or do you want to play Brazen Borrower? You're putting your opponent down to 10.
I'm quite a big fan of Lovestruck Beast because he can only give one of these knights +3/+3. I guess that just makes it a 4/5, and this Bonecrusher Giant is just irrelevant.
I mean, it's irrelevant in that it's a time warp. It's irrelevant in that that's all Chris does that turn.
Yeah. Okay, so we play Brazen Borrower. We untap, we play the land. What's in Greg's hand? Not sure. He put it down, and he's going. All right, yeah.
So Chris is spending his turn trading this knight for this giant. Oof.
Oh, no, he's not.
In response, wipe your board. My human will die. My Brazen Borrower won't. You'll take 3.
All right. Well.
So
That's neat.
Greg sided that in, right?
Yeah.
We know it's in his sideboard.
Do we? Okay.
Yeah, well, yes. I remember that it is in his sideboard.
All right. Well, then he sided it in.
All right. so this whole no sideboard thing keeps being wrong. I've built wish boards before, like with Jeskai Ascendancy in Modern, where you have all these weird 12 ofs and all these 12 weird 1 ofs, and you tell people you side this in for this particular reason, you wish for this and this reason and blah blah blah. But you know that like in some matchups this card's not good enough to wish for, but you might want to draw it. So after you played enough, you learned which ones of those you want actually sideboard in.
Yeah, neither of us are adept at that. In this case, Temur Adventures being a rather new deck, I think.
Honestly, Greg is the only person that I've ever seen play it.
Well, he picked it up because he lost to it so badly on Saturday's PTQ.
Okay.
Before, or I guess Friday's PTQ before the main event at GP Portland.
Oh, so he just audibled to it 24 hours in advance?
And not even like 12.
That's bold.
Yeah, it was. He just like lost to it so badly, and then went to his next round, lost, 0-2, dropped, and walked around the hall to pick up the deck.
All right. Well, now we've got Chris chump blocking this Bonecrusher Giant, making a food. And then
fling.
the Bonecrusher Giant gets flinged, yeah.
Second fling for 4 we've seen for game.
Fabulous. And we wished for that, right? There's a Fae of Wishes there?
Yes, there's right there.
Nice. So Greg picks up another 2-1. Yeah, that's really attractive. So I haven't seen this Temur Adventures deck. I haven't seen it at PTQs. I haven't gone to a whole lot of PTQs. I haven't seen it on like MTGO 5.0s. I haven't seen it on MTG Top 8. So it might be kind of scarce. But it's really having an attractive showing here. So if you haven't seen this thing before, maybe we'll try to get a whole deck list to post.
Yeah, that sounds neat.
So we're probably not going to see that in this video, but we'll get the deck list and we'll post it in the description of the YouTube VOD. So if you're watching now and you want to see this, wait like 12 hours and then find this video on YouTube. Our channel name is Paradise Games with an apostrophe after the O. We'll have that up probably by tomorrow morning, if not late tonight. That means now's probably a good time to tell you who we are and what we do in case you just tuned in and you're not here very regularly. We are Paradise Games. We're a game store in Bellingham, Washington. We stream Magic the Gathering 3 times a week. We do Modern on Mondays, we do Standard on Fridays, and we do Pioneer on Thursdays. We just announced today that we're going to be doing a Pioneer Cash Tournament on February 2nd. We did one two weeks ago, December 14th. And it was a lot of fun. We only had 20 people in it, but there was an event in Portland the next day, so there were a bunch of people that didn't want to head north from Seattle and south from Portland. But this time, we're not going to have that problem because Dark Tower Games is doing a Modern 1K the day before. So if you're in Vancouver or you're in Seattle and you feel like coming to Bellingham for a weekend, we'll have 2 cash tournaments about half a mile apart on back-to-back days.
Yeah, it's gonna be super sweet.
Yeah, if you're a local Bellingham player, make sure you get to do both of those. So we are live on twitch.tv /paradise_games on Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and then all the stuff goes to YouTube after the fact. And again, the channel name there is Paradise. Channel name is Paradise Games with a apostrophe after the O. I also want to talk about Theros Beyond Death because that set comes out in 3 weeks, or pre-releases in 3 weeks. We're just starting to get spoilers, and we've got Devotion again. We've got Sagas again. It's looking pretty decent. We've seen 2 of the gods. One of them is the pre-release promo.
Athreos looks sweet.
Athreos looks sweet. Clythos, the 3-mana one, looks sweet too.
Yeah, Deathrite Shaman's not fair.
Right, thank you. And of course, Grey Merchant of Asphodel has made it back into the format, so we're excited for that one. But we've got a special new booster box price. We used to do them at $120 a box, so that was 14% off buying all the packs. But now we've got our normal booster packs at $103-ish. But we still offer our 10% pre-order discount, which brings it down to $92. So with Washington State sales tax, you're at $100 even. And that includes the buy a box promo, which is Athreos, and the full art basic land. So if you go to our website, which you're seeing a picture of now, the website's paradise.games. Somewhere on the banner, there's a link to a thing that says this is how you pre-order boxes. That'll take you to a link to our Square store. You can do it all there. You can make sure there's a box with your name on it. Also, the weekend that we did our 1K, we did a bunch of giveaways over the course of that week. And we did giveaways over the course of the week, and we had no participation. Actually, 0 participation.
No.
Right? So then all of those giveaways we did again on the 1K, the cash tournament live stream, and we actually had some participation.
Sick.
Right? So we want to give a thanks to the people who watched and chimed in. That's Axton Mentler, Brennan Buck, and Danielle Garner. You guys watched the content. You sent in the emails. We sent them. One of them got a set of Die Hard polymer dice, glow-in-the-dark plastic dice. One of them got a Christmas Dragon set of Dragon Shield sleeves. And one of them got the Gideon Spellbook Gideon spellbook, signature spellbook Gideon. That's what that's called. So we're gonna do something like that again. Oh, thank you, Queen Elsa of Arendelle. We're gonna do something like that again for the week leading up to the Pioneer 1K at the beginning of February. So seriously, watch it and send in the emails because it's so easy to win when only 3 people send in emails. You can be that 4th person and have a real good chance of getting some free loot.
Sick. Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
I dare you.
Do it.
Win stuff.
All right, so it looks like we're going to switch to a round of Time Machine. We think that we might be able to get another match from round 2, but either we'll get another match from round 2 or round 2 will be over shortly. So either way, we'll be back. Oh, games are done already. So never mind. We're actually going to cut to Hot Damn Scandal. We're going to play one song for you, and then we'll be back for round 3. Thanks, guys. Don't go anywhere.
I like to swim at the bottom of the barrel. I like to sleep in hidey holes and barroom stalls. I like to hear the piano playing in the bloody little dawn. I like to wake up with the devil and drink him till he's gone. The queen is drunk and someone armed the pawns. Oh, the truth they say is an acquired taste, a vice I've never thought to own. There is no cleaner left, so we filter it through cigarettes. But the gambler's mercy keeps us blind and fade.
And we're back for round 3. So that was real quick. We've got Greg, again, third time's the charm, playing against Laszlo. This is the first time we've had the opportunity to have Laszlo in our store, as far as I'm aware.
As far as I'm aware as well.
So I
have a super sweet J sweatshirt.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Nice. I am catching the sleeves, but I haven't gotten to see it in all of its glory. Sweatshirt is sweet, says production. But how about this Selesnya Convoke? Are we assuming this is going to be an adventures deck?
No, I'm assuming it's going to be... Is he playing Court of Calling?
Court of Calling's not legal in standard.
Oh, it's a standard. Man, we were just talking about Pioneer. All right. So, what has Convoke...
Clearly, it's Devoted Druid combo, right?
Yeah.
So, Convoke, Venerated Loxodon is the obvious answer. Okay. Followed by March of the Multitudes. And then you get some weirder things like Sprouting Vines. It's like a naturalized / 2/2.
Oh, then you get it's the one that makes Sapling. It's the 2 mana. No, it's from Dominaria. Ah, man.
Right? There's also like a 5 mana 4/4 that's reasonably playable. 5 mana 4/4 Vigilance.
Yeah, so we've got Amara as well.
Oh, Amara. Yeah, I haven't played with this card in a little bit because my Convoke decks have all been adventure decks. But this card, when it attacks, you really...
When it taps.
Yeah, well, when it's attacking you, you really want to kill it because it's making value every time. But this time, Greg just has the Stomp, so we don't even get as far as getting to tap that creature.
There's a mountain into play untapped.
So there's a Steam Vents and a Temple of Mystery is how we paid for that Stomp.
Okay, so we went turn 1, make a 1/1.
How did we do that?
Yeah. So we made a 1/1 with this Lovestruck Beast.
How did we... Yeah, but we don't have any untapped green sources? We don't have any green sources that enter the battlefield untapped.
Turn 1 Temple, turn 2 land, make a 1/1. Turn 3, stomp your dude.
Oh, see, this is what happens when you and I are just looking at each other and chatting instead of watching the game. But here's another Amara. This one's also going to need an answer, although the 4/3 that we have in Adventure is a fine answer to this Amara.
I kind of like our 5/5 a little bit more, but...
Oh, right.
We'll pick it up. We don't like it.
So we did that to save us a mana so that we could cast our Clover. And then you really have to play Petty Theft before you play your Clover.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up with your Brazen Borrower fizzling and ending up in your graveyard.
Greg, not a monkey, knew what he was doing.
I mean, he is a primate.
Yeah, he's kind of a monkey. But not that time.
This card, Elf Coil Engine, is one that I was very excited about when they first printed, and it has not gotten any love. This is a 4 mana 4/4 Vigilance that when it dies, it spits out 2/2 Vigilances.
Yeah, the card's insane. I have hardly beaten it.
But in this case, Greg can just like play a 5/5.
Yep.
Lovestruck Beast is a messed up card.
It is. It's your 1-drop and your 3-drop, and it's unfair. No matter how, it's like not unfair your turn 1. It's just a 1/1, but it's really unfair in your turn 3. It blocks even when you don't have the 1/1.
Yeah, and a 1 mana 1/1 that draws a card. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And when the card that you drew is a 3 mana 5/5.
Edgewall Innkeeper.
So we have Tron.
Yep.
Now every time we cast one of these creatures in exile, we're going to get to draw a card. All of these creatures in exile already did something before we cast them. And every time we draw a card that is one of these creatures in exile, it's going to do a thing twice.
Tron.
Yeah.
So from Laszlo here, he's playing a Healer's Hawk. That card is super sweet with Johnny's Pride Mate.
So here's the problem with the Convoke deck. And I played a deck that was like 16 Convoke cards and 24 1-drops before. And that is, on turn 5, you draw 1-drops. You need them in the deck. Like, all of these 1-drops are basically Llanowar Elves. Like, here you see he's deploying 3 creatures and then tapping them to play this Venerated Loxodon.
Yeah,
I was actually going to complain about how we're working so hard on this and still not getting there. But we just spent 5 mana and put
Lots of
5, 9, 11, 13 power on the battlefield, 14 power on the battlefield, 15 power on the battlefield. All right. I take back my lamentations. That was excellent. Is it excellent enough to deal with this rain of card advantage that's going to come down from Greg.
Possibly. I guess we'll find out from Greg's turn here. Well, he's walking more.
Yep, the Fertile Footsteps. 3 mana gets you 2 mana when you have the Clover, so it costs you 1. It's basically a Harrow, except you get all the mana back the following turn.
And Greg has 1 card in hand, but plenty of cards in Adventure, so not really only 1 card in hand.
Right.
And they all draw a card.
They all draw a card.
What an engine. Laszlo has 2 cards in hand. One's a Forest. One's a card that I don't know what it is.
I mean, if Laszlo untaps and plays a land and plays Flourish, the backside of Flower Flourish,
Ooh,
then you're
+2/+2 to the team.
+2/+2 to the team. Then you're crashing in for a lot.
Like a lot.
Like a lot of lots.
It's pause for reflection.
Ooh, so that's not gonna let him punch through the win secretly, but it might enable him to survive a combat step that Greg overextends into.
Yeah, that's kind of cute. It's possible that he untaps and cycles it.
This one doesn't cycle.
Oh, it has Convoke.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got
Yeah,
it.
that's worse. I would like to cycle it. I would really like to find a Flower Flourish.
Oh, we have Fling Explosion.
Okay, so is Pause for Reflection a fog or is it a safe passage? Is it going to stop this fling?
I think it's Fog.
I
but
also think it's fog.
I don't know. So, let's have our magic man behind the computer figure this out.
So we spent this turn granted Ing for a fling and an expansion. We have enough mana right now to cast a giant, all combat damage. Yep. So we've got the mana now to cast a giant and to fling it, but not to expansion it. We will draw a card when we cast the giant, so we've got 2 looks for the land to expansion it. And if you expansion it, you are hitting for 22.
Sick. That is lethal. So, Greg has draw step and draw from giant to find a land.
Yes.
And just untap specifically.
Right.
I don't think he has a lot of temples in his deck, but I think
But
3
we
or
saw
4.
we saw Temple of
Yeah.
Mystery. There's some.
I imagine it's like a 2/2 split of temples.
First, Laszlo gets to crash in with this a 12 power worth of creatures, which can't kill Greg because he's at 18. So if Greg's gonna have the opportunity to untap and win the game, this combat step's not gonna prevent that.
Laszlo doesn't die if he attacks with one of those lifelink. He'll go to 23. Because he's got the Healer's Hawk with a counter.
Yeah, so I'll get him to 22.
And if he attacked, doesn't look like he attacked with the 1/1 soldier.
It does
'cause
not look like he
Amara
attacked with the
makes
1/1 soldier.
with lifelink, right?
Interesting. And now, so we've been watching Greg for 3 rounds, so
Yeah.
we know exactly what Wish for Fling plus expansion means.
Yes.
And it is all face up, but it is a little unintuitive.
A little bit, yeah. For Laszlo to do all the work, having possibly never seen Greg's deck before, is something that I would never expect. Yeah, so...
There's the breeding pool, so that allows us to go to 16.
And then 22 our opponent.
Right? Because there's 10 lands on the battlefield, so you put the 11th one into play. Yeah, that's what Greg's counting.
All right, yeah. Looks like he did it. Is that Convoke spell that exiles something still in Standard?
Convoke spell that exiles something.
Yeah, it's like the 4-mana spell with Convoke. It's the enchantment.
Oh, yes. Conclave Tribunal is in Standard.
Okay, that's in Guilds of Ravnica.
Yes.
Okay. That card seems really good in this matchup.
Right, because you want a way to get the...
Luckyy Clovers and 5/5s and 9/9s.
and 11/11s, yeah. I do... Very few people play that 3-mana 2/2 sorcery that either naturalizes or makes a knight, but I've been very happy with it. Because a lot of times you're struggling to get your Convoke mana from 2 to 5, and 3-mana Convoke Knight is very good at filling that niche, and then you just have naturalizes in your deck for when there's a Clover and you want it to go away.
That makes sense. I do like that. So it looks like...
Looks like we're showing... This is exactly 22. Laszlo's like, I'm not sure. That seems absurd. Are we sure? And Greg's like, yes. Committed. And like, all right, well, then we'll go to sideboarding.
Okay.
Do you want to take point?
All right, yeah. So, sideboarding. We'll look at Laszlo's sideboard. He has 15 islands because it's the best card in Magic. I have an idea. This might be Axton's idea.
Well, I mean, Laszlo is here in a J sweatshirt.
That is true.
So, hear me out here. I think we sideboard in three of these islands, in exchange for lands, probably white lands, because Greg is much less likely to go for fling my Beanstalk Giant, respond to that by expansioning my fling, when his opponent has untapped blue mana.
You're so right.
Okay, so I think 3 is the correct number of these to bring in.
All you need to see is the first one.
Right. And you don't want to hurt your mana base too much to get that extra point.
Yeah, let's scare Greg. Let's bring in 3 islands. I really hope Laszlo sees this line. From Greg's side, we want to bring in Flame Sweeps.
Definitely want to
Aethergust.
bring in Flame Sweeps. I'm less
Possibly.
sure about Aethergust.
That's fair. We do see, but Aethergusting a March of the Multitudes is really good.
That's true. And Aethergusting a Elf Coil engine is pretty good.
yeah.
And hitting in Amara is,
Fine.
yeah. I guess it doesn't hit Conclave Tribunal. It doesn't hit Venerated Loxodon. Yeah, maybe it's just good enough.
Yeah, that's about how Aethergust feels in this format.
Just good enough. Yeah.
So yeah, I think 3 islands from Laszlo and Flame Sweeps and Aethergust from Greg. It's possible that he only has a couple cards to take out, so he just brings some Flame Sweeps. But
Yeah,
we'll see.
so let's chime off a couple cards that are in Greg's deck. Greg plays Edgewall Innkeeper, Brazen Borrower, Giant, Fairy, Other Giant, Clover. So that's 7 cards that we're pretty confident are 4 ofs and we never want to hedge on.
Yeah, that's...
So he's got maybe 8 more slots in his deck.
There's an Embercleave. I don't think that card can go out.
I think that card doesn't start in the deck. I think he sideboarded it in.
I think there's an Embercleave.
I don't think so. I think he saw 1 once and said, I'm going to want an Embercleave.
That might be true. I really hope that Embercleave made.
Well, we will find out. Like I said, we had the good fortune to see Greg for 3 rounds. You guys had the misfortune of only seeing him 2 rounds. And I had the misfortune of just learning that the person who was supposed to be sacked was not sacked. But you can all rest assured knowing that the people responsible for sacking him have been sacked. But we are going to end up with 2 rounds of this match and the deck list for the Temur Adventures deck on YouTube. So we will get a chance to see that after the fact.
So it looks like we've got spit out some 1/1s with whatever that spell is.
Raise the Alarm.
That is
2
Raise the
mana
Alarm.
instant.
Okay.
Yep. Someone cast this against me at the GP this weekend, and I'm like, are you sure that card's standard legal? And I'm like, and he said, yes. Then I asked, why? What set was it printed? He's like, I have no idea, but just trust me, it's standard legal. So I feel a little better seeing someone else cast it.
Did you call a judge or just leave him?
No, I just, yeah, whatever.
Okay, got
The
it.
card's probably standard legal.
I have no... It's M20, right?
I don't know.
Okay, Judge.
Oh, there it is. It has an M20 symbol on it.
All right.
Fabulous.
Thanks, Judge.
There's another Raise the Alarm here in Laszlo's hand, and a Venerated Loxodon. So that's
No
a
islands.
great way to... right. Well, we don't need it now. We need it on turn 6.
That's true, but Greg has the island, so he's ahead, right?
Well, sure, but Laszlo's not going to play around counter magic. He's going to just go right into it full speed ahead.
That makes sense.
So Greg's bluff of having a counter spell up isn't going to work here.
But Laszlo's will.
Yes, I'm confident. If he draws the island.
Hard if.
So at end of turn, Laszlo gets to make
Some more dudes.
some more dudes, which
And-
means he's going to untap and cast an easy Venerated Loxodon. He'll even get to cast some creature and then tap it and play Venerated Loxodon.
Yeah, which unfortunately all these things still light a flame sweep, but we haven't seen that from Greg yet.
That's true.
But that card is very good against Laszlo's deck.
That seems quite likely.
So we see Plains, Elf Coil Machine, and Venerated Loxodon.
Yeah, that's...
He cannot play both of those.
Yes,
this
he
turn.
can.
He has 4 mana.
Yeah, and he would have 5 dudes.
Oh, that's neat. Oh, but instead he places Hunted Witness.
Oh, and a March of the Multitudes
on his main phase.
for 5, and then tap them for your Venerated Loxodon.
Oh.
Which still loses to Flame Sweep.
But
But if we don't see a Flame Sweep here,
Greg is super, super dead.
but there's 19 power on the battlefield.
I guess he's not... He's practically dead.
He needs to play 2 dudes.
Oh,
Oh no,
Loxodon.
what happened?
Laszlo might have failed to realize the line, or I failed and that's not a Venerate Loxodon in his hand. That's
Oh.
certainly a Venerate Loxodon in his hand.
I do believe that that's venerated, but there's a flame sweep.
Oh, well. Yep.
But you don't really get points for not committing your Loxodon to the battlefield. You'd still have a Loxodon on the battlefield if that flame sweep had been cast.
Yep. All right, so we've got Laszlo with Elf Coil Machine and Loxodon in hand. And Greg with a 1/1.
I believe the soldier token is a lie.
I believe that as well.
I believe it has 0 counters on it.
Yep, that sounds right. Unless it's secretly a 3/3. It's a Haunted Witness.
Oh, that makes sense. So there is a 1/1 there with lifelink. Okay.
Smack, play an Elf Coil Machine. Go.
Which is still quite good. Oh, the daggers, the Aether Gust. You told me this would happen.
Well, yep. It's going to live to see another draw step.
Yeah, so that looked like it went on top of Laszlo's deck.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's much better draws in his deck than...
Which is an unfortunate place to be. I had a similar situation where someone Aether Gusted my Trail of Crumbs, and I'm like, well, Trail of Crumbs isn't going to win me this game, but neither probably is anything else, so I guess I'll keep it.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Yep, I guess Greg doesn't actually have a threat here. He could play a 5/5 that can't attack. He can't play his 7/7 yet, because it would just be a 5/5. It has to be a 7/7 before you can play it.
Yep. So Greg is really good with his footsteps.
At drawing a bunch of them
Yeah.
and casting them repeatedly. That does make the deck look strong.
What if we just took those out of his deck? I wonder how good it would be then.
I think
Stomp.
I think worse.
Probably.
I think the whole fling plan would leave your sideboard.
He's drawing 3 of them every game. It's insane.
So here's the Elf Coil Machine. Greg is going to get to play his Bonecrusher Giant, draw a card.
I mean, no, he can just be professional, play his land.
I have no idea what you said.
Be a professional, play his land, play a 7/7.
Oh, he's digging for his lands. That's why we have to play this Bonecrusher Giant.
Well, he drew a card. It was...
It was a Clover,
Cool.
which we don't really need to deploy right now, but like Tron.
And so, yeah, that makes sense. So play my Clover, play
why-
another Edgewall Innkeeper. Go.
So the next turn we'll get to play Lovestruck Beast, draw 2 cards, and then anything we find with adventure, double adventures.
Sweet.
Also, there's this fairy in our hand, and we can double adventure that, but probably not get Flame Sweep. But we can probably get Aether Gust, and just keep making our opponent pick up this Conclave Cavalier over and over. All right, we traded our elf for his Bonecrusher Giant, so we're making 2 more elf babies. But we already cast our Venerated Loxodon, so we don't get to tap our elf babies and make elf adolescents.
Those would be way too good.
Right. I'm under the impression that elf babies are 2/2s, adolescents are 3/3s because the adult is a 4/4.
Then what's a land war elf? Is that not a...
It's a druid.
It's an infant?
It's a druid.
Okay.
Stomp, with the help of Luckyy Clover, is able to kill that 4/4, and then we cast Bonecrusher Giant and draw 2 cards.
I like Ancestral Recalling every turn.
Oh my word.
This Luckyy Clover nonsense is out of hand. Or out of pocket.
Out of wing?
The Clover came out of his pocket, I think.
Is that why he always has it?
Yeah. Greg's secretly cheating. He just has copies of Luckyy Clover in his pocket.
Oh, Laszlo has a Harmonious Archon in his hand, and he's trying to figure out... That's what that is, right?
Yeah, that's absolutely... He's moving around. Looks to be 5 lands, like he wishes it was 6.
I'm not sure he does wish it was 6. Right now, Greg has 8 power on the battlefield, and if you play a Harmonious Archon, that turns into 15.
Oh, that makes sense. But then his 2/2s are 3/3s now. They're adolescents, and then he makes 2 1/1s that are 3/3s, and he has a 4/5. So it does a great job at clogging the board. It also stops his giants from being big.
All right, this is a fine idea. We're going to serve with our elves, which is we're giving away 1 elf, but we're trading an elf for 2 other things. And then before it dies, we're going to tap them all to pump out this multitude for 4.
Oh, and then untap, be a professional, draw land, slam this Archon, and we're in a great spot.
I don't think that's true. I think we're just in an okay spot there.
No, because his giants are just 3/3s.
Yeah. But he's going to make so many more of them, and he's going to draw so many more cards than we are. All right, we've got a Granted here. See if there's another Flame Sweep to go find. There is. That's unfortunate.
Oh, man. So Laszlo's next turn, if you drew a land, is a little worse.
But Greg's board also deteriorates quite a bit.
He gets... that's true. It kills all his Edgewall Innkeepers. It's possible that Greg doesn't think he needs to Flame Sweep this turn.
And he's correct, because he would still have the opportunity of doing it in response to the Harmonious Archon.
Well, it's possible that he just taps out for this, for like a different spell.
I think it's not, because he's short of mana to tap out for the only other spell. Oh, he could have cast like a Lovestruck Beast, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And goes, I'm gonna like play this Lovestruck Beast, draw 2 more cards before I wipe my Edgewall Innkeepers.
That would be solid.
Doesn't like it mattered. Laszlo didn't draw a land.
Oh, no.
He drew this Amara.
I mean, that card also seems pretty good with Harmonious Archon.
It does.
Laszlo's deck is sweet.
I really like the Archon. This Archon is making this game very fun.
Yes. Oh, he just dropped it face up on the table. Oh, no.
Oh, no. Greg sees the play now.
Escape to the Wilds, flipping Escape to the Wilds is pretty sweet, but there's not a bunch of footsteps here, so Greg's not going to do something truly absurd. All his footsteps.
All right, unsure if Greg actually saw that. Blessed for Laszlo.
Yeah, he might have been looking down at the wealth of opportunity presented to him.
Yeah, exactly.
So here is another Innkeeper, and then I don't actually remember what Lovestruck Beast spell is called.
It's called Yep.
But we make 2 humans. So we're back up to 7 power on the
Desire.
battlefield.
This 5/5 desires a 1/1.
Don't we all?
Yep. Am I the 1/1?
Thank you so much for joining me tonight on this stream.
Will you be the 5/5 to my 1/1?
I don't know what that means, but yes.
Sick.
All right. So we found our 6th land, and it entered tapped.
All right. Well, at least we gained a life.
We did gain life. And our 2/2 stands tall against these 1/1s.
It does.
But we've now reached the phase of the game where Greg's going to get to begin deploying
Lots.
7/7s or what have you.
But they're 3/3s.
Yeah. But we'll see how long that lasts.
No, they aren't. They're huge. They're giant. They're +3/+3 more.
No. It doesn't get +1/+1. Its power and toughness is set by.
Oh, okay, got it.
And then Harmonious Archon happens to change that very layer.
Got it.
Wait, does that mean that if you cast the Giant after the Archon's already on the battlefield, the Giant is just its normal size because timestamps?
Judge.
Ah,
I think that's true.
I actually don't know exactly what these cards say on them.
That's true. Yeah, okay. Our L1, local L1 believes this is correct.
Because they're both set power and toughness ability layers.
Layers, yeah.
We have a stomp. We're gonna stomp that Amara and Laszlo down to 14, and then we're going to crunch in for 7, putting him down to 7. And then Laszlo's going to slam the Archon and hope it's good enough.
Oh, another Luckyy Clover.
Probably should have done that before we stomped.
Well, too late.
Yeah, there might be just a touch of generosity going on in Greg's gameplay.
I think he's just bad at this game.
Fair. Oh, there was an Embercleave in there? So that's actually 10, 11, 12, 13, which means not stomping the turn before is the difference between lethal... Or sorry, not casting the Clover before stomping is the difference between lethal and not lethal.
Yep.
Laszlo plays Harmonious... No, he plays Finale of Glory, where X is 4. So he's going to make 4 1/1s. I bet they're 2/2s. No, they got to be 1/1s.
Yeah,
they're 2/2s.
4 2/2s, and then if X is 10 or more, also make...
that many angels. And this is solid, to put 8 power on the battlefield, but Bonecrusher Giant's going to turn sideways, and that will spell doom for our Jace.
Oh, poor Jace.
Yes, insufficiently loyal.
It is possible Laszlo does not know what Embercleave does, though I don't think playing anything would have mattered. I think that Embercleave is still lethal no matter what.
Yeah, it's easy to look at this board and think, like, if I slime my Harmonious Archon, I have the biggest thing, but Embercleave does a pretty good job of making that look silly. Although I guess Harmonious Archon still trades with...
No, he just dies. He does trample.
But it's a 4/4 with trample.
Yeah.
And Harmonious Archon's... Oh, he dies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, a Chandra.
Let's go find more things.
Greg, just attack your opponent.
No, you didn't. You don't play Temur Adventures because you don't want to cast Granted with
You're right.
two
You don't want to
fling
fling your Bonecrusher Giant for lethal for the 3rd match in a row.
You want to declare it as an attacker with Embercleave, and then stomp it 3 times so you can untap and win with your Planeswalker. So here's Greg. He's our champion for the evening. He made a nice, fancy 3-0 here with this Temur Adventures deck. I had a really good time watching it. Your adventure cards are all good enough on their own, which is different than the green-white deck, which plays all the bad adventure cards because they have adventure. And then Edgewall Innkeeper makes them generate card advantage. Luckyy Clover makes their spell bananas, and you have a combo kill.
Yeah, so this is the only deck I like Luckyy Clover in because it generates so much advantage that drawing your Luckyy Clovers, like your creatures already generate enough value, so your Luckyy Clovers are good enough, and you draw enough cards and make enough advantage with your Into the Wilds.
Escape to the Wilds.
Escape to the Wilds. That you're lucky that you're not just drawing Luckyy Clovers in the late game. You always have cards.
Yeah, I totally support that. I feel like the green-black deck added Fertile Giant because they needed enough adventures to merit the inclusion of the Luckyy Clover. Yeah. But then they don't really have a way to use all the mana that they're making off the Fertile Giant.
So just don't play Luckyy Clover or Fertile Giant.
But once you're in blue and you get access to
Brazen
Fae of
Borrower,
Wishes,
Fae
of Wishes, because that means when you have 13 mana, you have a combo kill.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. Thank you guys all so much for watching. We're going to get the deck list for this up on the YouTube video, like I mentioned. We'll have that up probably in the next 10 hours. So congratulations to Greg on his 3-0. I want to take another chance to talk to another one of our sponsors. This is Die Hard Dice. If you haven't gotten a chance to play with them yet, they make the best metal dice around. They make polymer dice, the plastic dice that glow in the dark and have great colors, and those guys, they do a fine job of competing with Chessex, but their flagship item, these metal dice, which come in both they come in D6s, they come in 7 die sets, they come in D20s, they come in oversized D20s. They're the best of the best, and I was complaining about that Stomping Ground that I couldn't recognize, but who are we kidding? We love Masterpiece cards.
Yeah.
We love foils. We love the sweet new sleeves, and this is that same thing for dice. If you want to show up and you want to say, yeah, I'm invested in my hobby, I've got the best stuff, this is the best dice you can get. So we always have them in stock here at Paradise Games, but we don't actually have them on our website. We don't ship them. If you're not local and you want a chance to buy this product, you have to go to dieharddice.com. They've got everything there. They've got probably 150 different designs and colors, and they support our stream. They help give us some products to give away, and we thank them for that. With that, I think we're done with our show for tonight. Thank you so much for coming out, Dylan.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I want to talk about power budget.
Oh, we do.
Yeah, you get to look at this dice while I go on a rant about the future of Magic the Gathering, according to me, who has absolutely no insider knowledge. So power budget for standard. We used to have 3 sets in a block, right?
Yep.
So with 3 sets in a block, you'd have a mechanic. Like, let's say, why can't I think of any of the old mechanics? Let's say Landfall. Landfall is going to get dragged out over 3 sets. And in those 3 sets, we're going to get a Doomblade, we're going to get a Mana Leak, we're going to get an Unsummon, we're going to get a Divination, we're going to get a Raised Dead, we're going to get a Duress. But they're all going to be dragged out over 3 sets. And maybe a couple of them will be good. But I tell you, for every Searing Blaze you get a Mysteries of the Deep. So they're not all good. But with this new structure where we visit Eldraine for one set, we go back to Theros for 1 set, we go to Ikoria for 1 set, all of those cards are going to appear in that 1 set. So that means over the course of a year, we're going to get 3 Doomblades, 3 Divination, 3 Mana Leaks, each with their set's mechanic and this opportunity for it to be broken in some circumstances. Which is why Throne of Eldraine looks amazing. It is. It's a year's worth of design packed into 3 months. And we're going to Theros now. We're going to get a year's worth of design packed into another 3 months. And 18 months from now, we'll have 2 years, 6 expert level expansions like that.
Sick.
Yeah, maybe it's terrifying. Throne has had to get cards banned because it's too good. Maybe they won't have to be too good when every set's like that. I'm excited.
Yeah, so I was having this conversation at Applebee's last night.
Love it. Save the bees.
Yep, we're saving the bees with our man Jaws. Man, he needs to come back. And he was describing Standard as the power levels of cards have dropped so dramatically that anytime they print anything relatively good, it's now broken, which used to not be true. And here were his examples. He said when let's say he said Supreme Verdict and Sphinx's Revelations clearly busted Magic cards. Those things are insane.
Okay.
But along with like Sphinx's Rev and Supreme Verdict, right? There was like Pack Rat and like all these other like insane
Desecration
Magic cards.
Demon, Night Veil Predator, yeah.
There were other insane Magic cards. So you looked at these 2 insane Magic cards and these made one deck, but there were like Thought Seizes and Pack Rats and all the other cards and with the red black whatever's return.
Rakdos' Return?
Rakdos' Return.
Rakdos' Return, actually, I would argue that card's not
good.
Not good. Bonfire of the Damned was good. Bonfire of the Damned and Rakdos' Return in the same deck was a nightmare to play against.
Yeah. So there was like all these things. Like all of these cards were super powerful, but they all were powerful in their own ways and created diverse decks that were all good. Mm-hmm. But now you've got cards at lower power levels and only 1 or 2 cards from the sets that are on par with Sphinx's Rev and whatnot, not 30 cards in the same set that are like that. So then one deck becomes super dominant, and now there's problems. So if everything becomes stronger, then good cards will be less good because everything else is rising to their power level, is what he described it as. And I thought it was a really interesting take.
Which I'm absolutely thrilled for, because when I started playing this game, you had one deck playing Lightning Bolt, Searing Blaze, and Goblin Guide. You had one deck playing Path to Exile, Jace the Mind Sculptor, and Day of Judgment together. You had one deck that was Bloodbraid Elfing into Blightning after playing their Putrid Leech. And that was great Magic the Gathering. That's the kind of Magic the Gathering that I want to play.
Yeah, powerful Magic is my favorite kind of Magic, not close.
And if we can get Standard players playing powerful Magic, maybe that's how we get people to start playing more Standard.
Yeah, and also when you play these powerful cards and you invest your time and money into these better cards,
they make it to Modern.
Yeah, they make it to Modern and Pioneer, and then now they're half invested into other formats, which is outstanding, and that's what we want. The idea of Pioneer was people in their old Standard collections would come to use, but if they're printing cards in Standard that have no use in those formats, then what's the point of this new format?
Nice.
Kind of. And another way Jaws put this is, he's like, the Scarab God isn't good, but my God did it ruin Standard for 3 months because it was the best card by far, even though it's a 5 mana 4/4.
It's a 5/5.
Nope.
Oh, all right.
Yep. He was like, this 5 mana 4/4 was by far the best thing you could be doing. 5 mana 4/4 go, it was unbeatable.
It spit out more 5 mana 4/4s.
Well, yeah, the next turn. And he's like, is that card good? No. If you took that back to Concertar here or anything, or like Concertar here, Return to Ravnica, Theros, anything like that, it would see 0 light of day, 0 play. But then it was just a $50 mythic, the best thing you could be doing.
Yeah, that's a 5 mana 5/5. Ha!
Ha! Ha!
That spits out 4 mana 4/4s. All right, so we're excited. 2020 could be a great year. We're already seeing Theros spoilers. I'm excited for them. We've heard some ridiculous stuff about Ikoria that may be a little tepid, but nope. I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm excited for that one as well. Let's do it. Let's start playing Standard decks in Pioneer. Let's start playing Pioneer decks in Modern.
Yeah.
All right, to 2020. Thank you guys so much for watching. We're gonna play some Hot Damn Scandal, and we're done for the night.
Have a good night, guys.